You all got used to posing now. You're on practice.
Good evening, everyone. We are so happy to be having our chief guest. We just go starting in a minute. Let me just share my screen. Wow. Why I don't see my entire screen? Okay, let me do this. I hope my screen is visible, Madhu.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. This is Hari on behalf of Campus to Corporate VLSI Webinar Series. Yeah, so this 12th webinar, like a concluding webinar series, part of our 12 webinar series, and we have a eminent guest like on the stage. And today is Dr. Kalam's birthday. We all know Dr. Kalam, and he likes students a lot. That's why we celebrate the World Students Day. So just a couple of these quotes. I'll not go in detail. We all know about Dr. Kalam. He encourages students to ask questions. He wants people to dream. That's how we can build a nation. And his 5 advice every day, like what we should do, right? Have your self-confidence is very important. We are talented. So we should say ourselves like all is well, how the 3 Idiots movie says, right? You say all is well. I'm the best. So you motivate yourself, right? So today is as the WHO is like celebrating the World Students Day in his honor, in his memory. And he was a disadvantaged child. He's from a fisherman family from a remote village in Tamil Nadu, and he's from a non-educated family, and we all know how great heights he came, basically, right? So that's because he had a great advantage of being in the company of the great teachers. That's what that's what he says. He's very humble, right? So yeah, let's all celebrate Dr. Kalam today, and it's a World Students Day, and we all dedicate this event to all the students over here, right? And this is myself, Hariharan Seshadri. I'm mentor for Springbok Technologist, and I have about 28 years of industry experience. I graduated from Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering, SVCE in Chennai in 1991. I did my master's in IIT Kanpur in microelectronics. I worked in few companies for 10 years, some startup companies and some public limited companies. And the last 15 years, I was with Qualcomm India Private Limited, for initially in Hyderabad, then in Bangalore, and then in Chennai. So I was in Qualcomm Chennai for last about 9 years, and I kind of quit Qualcomm last year. I gave up the corporate career. I thought my passion is most on teaching and training and skill development, right? So I've been thinking about for last 2 years, what should I do? And I've been talking to a lot of people, a lot of my friends and inner circle people. I decided to take a plunge because sometimes I believe you have to listen to the inner heart. And as we just talking in the backstage, Dr. Kamakoti was telling, if your thoughts are good, then God does only the good things to us, right? So I believe in that. So we took a plunge, and that's where we are today. I want to focus on the skill development and training and following different movies in Springbok. That's our objective. We want to connect the campuses and corporate. And there's no dearth of engineers, there's no dearth of talent, just that fine-tuning them, right? That Dr. Kalam says, you have to just enable the students. Teachers' job is not to teach, but it's only to enable, right? We are just like enabling the students and make them think, make them dream. So that's what as a teachers or trainers we believe, right? So as a part of Springbok Technologists, I really want to welcome all of you and thank all our organizing team. This is the last session, so there'll be a slightly long introduction session. Please stay with us. And I would like to introduce Madhubala Manjuluri, founder of Springbok Technologists. Hi, Madhu.
Good evening, everyone.
Could you briefly introduce yourself?
So I'm Madhubala Manjuluri. I founded Springbok about 6 years back after working in the industry for about 11 years. I have my bachelor's from JNTU, Hyderabad, and master's from Arizona State University. I did my master's in electronics engineering, and so I started as an R&D engineer. I dipped my hands, and then I realized I'm more passionate about training and business development. And so after taking a break, after finishing about 10-11 years, took a break for a year, and then we started Springbok. Like Hari said, with the aim of trying to bridge the gap between industry and academia. So welcome, everyone.
Right. So I would like to introduce the other part of the organizing team, Mr. Karthik Anand from Springbok Works. So he's not here with us. He has some busy schedules. So Karthik has been helping us a lot on planning, brainstorming, how we should do, and he brings us a lot of industry experience. He is a co-founder of the Springbok Works, and I've been doing a lot of work with Karthik when I was in Qualcomm also. So been know Karthik for a very long time now, close to 10 years, and we have a lot of common ideas. So that's where myself and Karthik came together. And we do a lot of brainstorming. It's very interesting discussions. So he is not with us in the stage today, but we have all his best wishes and blessings, right? And that's Karthik Anand for you, co-founder for the Springbok Works. And another gentleman, Swarup Gandevar of GTGP, great place to work something actually. He has its organization. He's a fantastic speaker, but unfortunately he's not in the stage with us today because of busy schedules. And he has done the most number of webinars. If somebody has to give an award on the lockdown period, he does plus 500 plus webinars, if I'm not sure, right? And probably he has done a lot of webinars, and he's one of the brain behind this. How do we do this more effectively? Like, no, I'll talk about him as we move forward. He's one of the think tank. He helped a lot on we had ideas, but no, he added a lot of. To give one example, he only came up with the logo for the campus to corporate logo is what you see, right? So he came up with that. He comes with very unique ideas, and we are so happy to have Mr. Swarup Gandevar part of the organizing team. And our friends, gentlemen from IEEE, they are our partners, technical partners for this webinar series. So Sri Chandrasekharan, he's a senior director, standards and technology for the IEEE India. It's a phenomenal person. When myself and Karthik floated this idea to him, we had set up a half-an-hour meeting, but 15 minutes, everything is done. He said, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. No, we got green signal. And I haven't finished any meeting in 15 minutes, right? Probably this is the second meeting I remember. One meeting I'll talk about later. We'll talk about Pradeep Vajram, right? And we set up a meeting for half an hour. Can you imagine that things are done in 15 minutes? So we're in cloud 9 when the day when we spoke to Srikanth Chandrasekharan first time, right? So fantastic person. He believes in our vision, and so we have all the IEEE support. Thanks to Sri. If you are on the audience, we are like indebted to you. Thank you so much, Sri. And I'd like also to thank Mr. Pratik Saxena, the sales manager for IEEE Blended Learning Program. All the logistics you took care of us. Like how do we do it? A lot of nitty-gritty issues. What we should not do, and because IEEE is a international organization, they have their own procedures and policies. So we had to navigate, and he did us a lot. What's the right thing to do, and so it was so fun to work with him, right? So it was so helpful to organize ourselves properly, right? So Pratik, we are so happy and glad we worked with you for last 3 months. I would like to introduce our friends from Sevalaya, Mr. Muralidharan, founder and managing trustee, and he's there in the audience today. Sir, welcome you, sir. And I think he does the students in one of the webinar, I think webinar number 3, along with the keynote sessions, I believe, on the Engineers Day. And he's an engineer by himself, and he was working on IT companies. If you believe it is TCS or City is one of those companies. And he quit his career to start an NGO, right? You cannot believe that, actually, right? And he's a very silent person. And the way they work talk, he doesn't talk much, he works talks. So Sevalaya is not well known industry in Tamil Nadu today, but he is doing a lot of silent work. And the name itself, you can guess the name, how he came with Sevalaya, they are little service minded people, right? They go to all the rural areas and upliftment of people, and they do the work really. They don't talk, the work talk for them. That's in brief about Sevalaya. Right, and also I want to thank Mr. Prasanna Parsaradi. He's not here, but he's slightly unwell, and yeah, so he helped a lot. He's very aggressive and talking to the donor people and connecting all the people. Very active people, very charged people. They are available. Morning 7 o'clock, you check, he'll be online. He'll be answering the calls. So thank you, Prasanna. Right, I want to briefly talk about other activities. What we did in the webinar. I'll talk about that. I'll quickly talk about topics and speakers. What did for last 12 webinars. But there are other backstage. We did a lot of events. We have a Telegram group. There are 420 members in the Telegram group. It's pretty active, and we did a lot of quizzes and polls. Example, what help the students need to build the skills. Right, we did some quizzes. We collect the data, then we kind of fine tune. On our Teachers' Day, we had a webinar interactive session with the students. What is the role of electronic engineers towards Make in India program? The Prime Minister of India does a fantastic programs on the Make in India, right? Requiring investment from abroad, and he's trying to encourage Make in India, right? We all know about it, right? And what the electronic engineers can do, and how we can help build the nation, right? By using technology, right? So we did idea harvesting, all the students to present their ideas. We had some fantastic ideas coming up, and I would look forward to take it forward. And the same thing, we also discussed about the Shakti program and the Swadeshi processor challenge. We also spoke about that in our to the student committee, the Telegram group. And I also committed myself to mentor some of the people who want mentoring in doing a successful product and give a proposal to for the Shakti processor and Swadeshi processor challenge, right? So there are a lot of discussion happening in the Telegram group on that also. And very recently, last week, we did another interesting program. What do the students want, right? Because nobody asked them, right? We tell what we want most of the time to students, right? As a parent also, right? But do we anytime ask them what do the students want? What do the kids want? So we went to ask them, what do you want? What do you think is the problem, right? And what is it how you can do to solve the problem, and what help you want? from others from the industry, right? And we want to look at the thoughts, very interesting thoughts, very interesting. We'll probably publish that when time permits, right? And then we did a lot of tips and tricks. How do we get the knowledge in VLSI, and sharing some knowledge-based articles, right? And we also ran a brand ambassador kind of program. Like you have to like kind of get more people into these webinars, give more publicity directly. Then we'll mentor those brand ambassadors, right? So that was quite successful. We started the mentoring process. It's ongoing. So we'll continue to spend time with our brand ambassadors, right? And we also interesting tagline contest for this webinar. And we also had a gift voucher announcement. We are not financially supported, but still from the organizers, 4 of us from our pocket, we put money and gave 100 rupees, 1,000 gift voucher, Amazon gift voucher to the winner. And the winner came with a nice name tagline. It's called KBC, Knowledge Beyond Campus. That's what it's called, right? So we kind of love that thing, and so that's how the winner, Mr. Rajesh, I'm sure he's there in the the audience. It's Rajesh from Hyderabad. So I think if I remember, he's from BBRIT in Hyderabad. So he is he is the champion who got us a beautiful tagline. Thank you, Rajesh, so much for that. And we also want to mention the press coverage what we had in Hindu, News 18, NDTV, and ABP Live. I'll kind of thank them formally as we move forward. And we also did a countdown teasers with about 1920 industry experts from various domains and industry. They came and spoke about this webinar, why it is interesting to them. And for 15 days before the webinar, we did a countdown and we did the teasers, right? And we want to thank the sponsors and partners. I said Mr. Swaroop for the Getting to Gold professionally, the JTGP. And he was instrumental in coming up with his logo. What do you see here? That is his design, right? Fantastic. It has both the hands.
Hari, I'm sorry to bother you. I think Dr. Kamakoti sir said he has another meeting in a few minutes. So maybe we should continue our thank you slides towards after the introduction, towards the end.
Okay.
Yeah?
I'll introduce Dr. Kamakoti quickly.
Yeah, I think that would be better.
Yeah, so Dr. Kamakoti, I know him for, I'm sorry. Yeah, Dr. Kamakoti is, we all know it, it doesn't need introduction, but it's, formally I would like to introduce you to this forum. He's a senior professor in the Department of Computer Science Engineering in the IIT Madras, and he's also Associate Dean for the ICSR IIT Madras. And he's a pioneer for the Shakti processor, and we also have a Maushik processor coming behind, right? I'm sure there are more processors going to come from his from his thinking hat, but Shakti is formally available. So one good thing is open source, right? We have a lot of open source cores, but the indigenous processor, well tested, proven, and it's it's a fantastic thing. And we have an IoT processor called Maushik also announced a few days before. And I want to also happy to share with you that Dr. Kamakoti has a Dr. Kalam fellowship award from the Indian government. Thank you, sir. It's it's a happy day being Dr. Kalam's birthday. I'm happy to share the news with the entire community that he's the proud winner of the fellowship award. All right. Thank you so much, sir. And he's also done a lot of other initiatives. Probably you can look at the details. For the lack of time, I'll not go into details. But I just want to kind of do one very important thing I want to say. He's also got a Lifetime Achievement Award from ACCS Lifetime Official Achievement Award, which is something fantastic. And Wasvik Award also he won it. Right, also on the Techno Visionary Award by the from the IESA, Indian Semiconductor Association. So he has a lot of achievement, and yeah, he has worked in industry prior, and he has done a lot of research from the industry side and from the academic side, and he's the right person to be a chief guest or a grand finale today. And just one short memory I want to talk about Dr. Kamakoti. We are from the same undergrad, from the same college, SVCE. My early memories of Dr. Kamakoti is around late 80s, 89, 88 kind of thing, and where he played violin along with his another friend in the culturals, right? So that's my first and very etched memory in my brain. And so for those of you, he's well routed in Indian tradition, philosophies, and Carnatic classical music and all. So that's Dr. Kamakoti for you, sir. I hand over the stage to you.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you, and it's a great pleasure to see a whole array of students. So what we see here is very good matrix. Now this has 10 rows and 8 columns. Okay, now we have 80 now. Okay, great. And very young faces, young students. Welcome to this forum. I really salute this entire venture taken up by Madhu and Hari and all the other people who are involved in this. Campus to corporate is a very interesting concept. Always we used to feel when we train people, we teach them, then they go and say, where are you missing for last 10 days, sir? placement preparation. I say, what, we didn't prepare you that you're preparing specially for placement. and then many of the majors, including the TCS, Infosys, all of them have said campus just to do training beyond the campus, right? So one of the things that we also realized from IIT over a period of time is that there is this disconnect between campus and corporate, and we wanted to bridge that disconnect, and that is why we came out with a novel concept called Research Park, which now takes in many of these translational research problems, where you have an idea, how do you actually make it into a product? And the moment you start thinking about that line, the corporate discipline that we call off, which is different from an academic discipline, that comes up very quickly. And that is something very interesting. And I think these webinars is basically trying to bridge this gap between the sort of a very independent campus life to a more systematic, disciplined corporate life. I don't say that academic life is not disciplined. We do have discipline, but the type of environment that you get in a corporate has certain subtle changes when you go out. Academics is still sort of a more parental affection that you can enjoy there, right? With these few words, I really appreciate such type of programs which prepare the students to meet the challenging corporate. But the good news is that India is a growing economy, it's a growing digital economy, and we have in every field, every segment, there is lot of need for talented individuals. And the moment we identify, as Dr. Kalam used to say, the point here is to just identify the talent and enable them, and automatically you go into that mode. And I think the effort taken by Madhu, Hari, and this team and that team, I think it's in this right direction. And I'm also very happy that this is happening on our idol's birthday, Dr. Kalam's birthday. With this, I'm very, very happy to talk about an excellent person whom I've admired so far, and this is a great opportunity to introduce him to you, Pradeep Vajram. Pradeep Vajram, he did his bachelor's in electronics engineering from Karnataka University and a master's degree in computer engineering from Wayne State University, Detroit. So he's a successful entrepreneur and a veteran in the semiconductor embedded industry. He has over 25 plus years of experience in having executed at all levels of responsibilities in design and development of ASIC's product. One thing that you should look for in his presentation is this entire gamut of making a system work. Right? I always tell my students, you go take up a job, at least complete one project in full from end to end before you shift to the next job. And that is where you learn that full of a corporate culture, full of what you mean to deliver, full of the real thing that is missing today. I think Pradeep will agree with me, is the talent to pull out a project from scratch and make a system, develop a system that works. This entire gamut of systems engineering is what is lacking, both from from an academic perspective and also from an industry perspective. And once you get that level of competence, you certainly will shine like Pradeep, right? So if you look at Pradeep's biodata, that's what it says. So let us go to the second pair of this. Pradeep was the president of the Semiconductor and Embedded Systems Business Unit at Aricent until September 2016. Pradeep founded SmartPlay Technologies in 2008, the world's first integrated end-to-end product engineering services company. So this end-to-end is very, very difficult. A single window system sort of thing, that is very difficult to establish. And that is the most important thing that everyone has to understand. And SmartPlay has been ranked the second largest VLSI services company in India, also ranked among the top 50 best companies to work in the GPTW ITBT category. And SmartPlay was acquired by Aricent in 2015. Now, please look at services. There are two types of services in computer science. One is hardware services, another is software services. The difference is, in software, you make a bug. you can actually fix the bug and very interestingly sell that bug as the next version of your software. Okay, and you are seeing many things that are happening here. But in the hardware, if you make a bug in a billion transistor chip, there is no way by which you can go and verify it, right? You have to just go to the nearby ocean, check out all the chips and make a new chip. And if you make 2 such wrong decisions as a startup, or probably even one, you lose the complete business and go out. So that's the trick. That's the real challenge when we start building up hardware companies, and especially VLSI services company. And Pradeep has been. I had worked with SmartPlay very closely, and I know how talented they are. And hats off, Pradeep has been one of the founder of this SmartPlay Technologies. Prior to SmartPlay, he served as the Vice President of Engineering at Qualcomm, heading the India Semiconductor Division, Bangalore. Under his leadership, Qualcomm Bangalore Design Center developed as a strong center of excellence and delivered multiple 3G, 4G products successfully. Right? And Pradeep played a key role in helping set up the Bangalore Design Center in India of Qualcomm, and at least 40 of my students are in this design center today, and that is pride. Thanks, Pradeep, for your thing. And prior to Qualcomm, Pradeep was the COO and co-founder of Spike Technologies, a leading chip design services company. Spike was again acquired by Qualcomm in 2004. Pradeep also worked at LSI Logic in Milpitas, CA. So this is a very, very interesting biodata, and I'm sure the talk will be certainly equally interesting. I now invite Pradeep, Vajram to address all. I could call you kids. For my age, I can certainly call you kids. And maybe for our age, Pradeep, we can call them kids.
Yeah, sure.
And let us hear from him the real advice and what it means to do a project in the corporate, and how long should you be stuck in the corporate or be serving a single project before you learn the trick of the trade, and when can you see that you have actually imbibed the confidence to pull out a product from scratch. So these are some of the big advices that you will get from this great man, and I now welcome Pradeep to take the stage and address the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and it's an honor to be with you virtually. And again, once again, happy birthday, Kalam's day, birthday today, and happy to have someone like you who has received the Technology Innovation Award, Dr. Kalam's Award, and really honored to be sharing the virtual platform with you, sir. And thank you very much. And I know you're pressed for the time. We don't want to hold you for more. Thank you. And I will cover the things that you mentioned in my talk. Thank you, sir. So I think the key thing today, what they've asked me to talk about my entrepreneur journey, so which I will be happy to do that. Before I do that, I wanted to, since it's a lot of youngsters are here and they are looking at the future, I was thinking maybe I'll give a very quick 15 minutes of backdrop of what is happening in the industry and how great the opportunity is today. So, and then we can go about my entrepreneur journey, which is definitely a lot of lessons I have learned, which I would like to share with you. So to start with, let me just...
I'm sorry, Dr. Kamakoti, the exit option is on the right corner. I think if you're searching for that, the right side bottommost, there's a small exit button. Yeah, thank you, sir. Sorry for
No problem. So what I'll do is I'll quickly share that information to you, and then that's what we decided. I'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about my entrepreneur journey. So what I was trying to do is just put a small presentation for you all to talk about what is happening in the industry. So this is more particularly to the digital disruption, what is happening, and which is kind of affecting pretty much everybody that we have in our life, affecting all of us in a positive way. So are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, Pradeep, we can. You can go to full screen mode. It will help.
Okay, hold on. I'll go to full screen mode. So, so the first one question we all have to: what is permanent in life? Just for a few seconds, think about it. What do you think is a permanent in life? If you really think about it, right, it's a change. Change is something is constant in our life, and that's something we all have to realize. First thing is change is inevitable. It's happening, and this is a one famous quote which I really liked. If you look at, he was a president of the United States, John F. Kennedy, very charismatic and a great leader. He says that those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. It's such a important statement it is, what he said. And it's so true, and it's always definitely true in my case. At least I was always looking forward what to do next, and that definitely helped me. So if you look at our world, it's changing a lot, and technology is one of the big catalysts for this change. And change is becoming more and gaining more and more momentum. If you look at just our digital world, Dr. Kamakoti talked about a digital world, that a digital economy. If you look at the 7.6 billion people we have, in that, almost if you look at the number of total people that are using the mobile phones of 5.1 billion, and internet users are 4.3. And if you look at people that are active in social media, 3.4 and 3.2 in the mobility. So it's all of us today. Digital is part of our life. We cannot ignore that. And this is another interesting slide that I thought is interesting for all of you to see how quickly the technology is getting adapted. If you look at airlines, it's about 68. It took almost 68 years to reach about 1 million plus people. And then if you look at all the 50 million users, if you look at all the other technologies, the car took to 62 million, and then telephone, look at 50 years. And as you go down, you're looking at to reach 50 million users, mobile phone took only 12 years. And if you look at Twitter, only took 2 years, and then Pokemon, which is a game, in 19 days they could able to do 50 million users. So what we are seeing is the adaptation of technology is becoming much more faster these days, and this is kind of an evolution that happened if you look at the technology wise. And this is I'm more centric to the Silicon Valley, where I come from. If you look at what happened in the 70s, there was a lot of defense research, which is integrated circuits were used there. Then they commercialized it. Then it became a big personal computer boom came in 90s and late 80s. And then the internet boom came in 90s. Then the social media is happening. So it's a huge, each 10 plus years, there's one big wave of things that are technology innovations is happening and changing. Another interesting thing I thought is very important for all of you to listen to see, the world's most valuable companies today by market cap, which is the value, how much they create in 2001, more, if you look at top 5 companies, most of them are, other than Microsoft, if you look at most of them are brick and mortars. It means in GE, if you look at technology company, but more into traditional technologies. If Exxon is an oil company, Citibank is a bank, and Walmart is a retail. And then you come back to 2016 and 18, and even now today, and they all are replaced by Apple, also technology companies. Apple is there, Microsoft is Amazon, Facebook, and I recently just looked at today's value again, all of these guys, and they're more than 10 trillion plus, and at least 4 of them are continue to be in the list of most valuable companies. So what it means is the oil barons and the other kind of people are replaced by the technology kids who are from Silicon Valley. So that's kind of what it is. And what is happening in the future, if I look at it, there's tremendous opportunity here. Innovation, there is the first thing is the computational power growth is happening. There's a lot of growth in competition, which is affordable today. And then there's an Internet of Things are happening a big way. That means there are billions and billions of devices that are connected to the internet. And there's a tremendous amount of data that's been collected. When you have so much of data, then what is happening? There are applications, there are technologies that are coming up to analyze this data and help us in our day-to-day decision making. artificial intelligence is big. It's changing every field that we know of, and artificial intelligence we all learned, and I've learned in my MS when I was doing my MS, but that was only a theory. Now, the reason it has become to a limelight today is mainly because the computer, we have the power to processing power, and they're also affordable. And robotics, that's also becoming a big, in robotics is becoming a big field. So one of the, then what is happening, what does it mean to us? What does it mean to us is if you look at the technology shaping our global economy, there's a huge impact is happening to the global economy. You look at the many technologies, AI, AR and VR, cloud, sensors, robotics, 3D printing, 5G, security, blockchain, every one of them are nicely converging to impact everything that we see in our life every day today, whether it's a transportation, whether it's entertainment, whether it's the food services, train. This is almost a 12 trillion to 30 trillion economy that's going to be coming up in the next 10 years, which is a huge opportunity for all of us. So, and in all of this, where do we stand? I think as Abdul Kalam, today is a great, I didn't really realize that, but I'm glad to have this slide in my presentation. He is a great man, and what he said is, look, all of us have equal talent, may not have equal talent, but all of us have equal opportunity to develop our talent. I think it's so true. We were not been born probably with the same kind of platform or sometimes kind of environment, but we have equal opportunity to develop our talents. This is so true. And what we are thinking for the next 10 years, if you look at 20 years, India is a great place. We are going to be a third largest economy, which means for you youngsters, it's going to be such a great place. When we started in a very different environment, but for you, it's a very good opportunity to be in this dynamic environment, which is happening in the next 10 to 20 years. And you're part of that. It's very good to do that. And then not only that, there is a great startup ecosystem. India is the third largest ecosystem in the world today. And it was not there 20 years ago. And this is a big opportunity for all of youngsters that are coming on board. And the startup ecosystem is very vibrant. Very quickly, I'll go through you. These are all the great success stories that we have in India. And there are about 30 plus companies which are going to be billion plus valuation created. It's these are some of the examples. My reason of showing this is you're in a great time because the world economy is going to go, the technology conversion is happening, India is happening, and you are just graduating and looking at things to do in future. So it is a great environment for you to do many things. So in summary, there's a lot of disruption happening in the segment. There's a lot of growth in the worldwide, and India is very well placed. So this is kind of what background I thought I'll talk to you, and then talk more about my entrepreneur journey. So, Hari?
Yeah.
Yes, Pradeep.
So can we move on to the next?
Yes.
Yeah, you can stop sharing, Pradeep.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at, hold on.
Yeah, perfect, yeah.
I don't see you guys. Where are you guys?
We are here.
Oh,
We're good. You stop sharing and we are good.
Okay, good.
So like Pradeep said, we heard him speak as a technologist. How about we take a step back and try to get to know him a little bit more as an individual?
Yes.
Let me share something here. I think we found something. Can you tell us? Can you see my screen?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so Pradeep, can you tell us who this is?
Oh, this is a Kamal Hassan. That is me. So.
Oh, fantastic. So, how old were you in this picture? And, maybe just share a little bit more about your background.
Yes. So my background and as a childhood, I come from Andhra Pradesh. I did my primary education in Rayalaseema and in Guntur, which is Andhra Pradesh now. So my education, my background is, it started with a fairly humble. I didn't go through any great schools to start with.
I think we found a picture. I'm not very sure if this is your school, but is this?
Yes, this is the school that I went, but this is the picture I've taken when I took my kid to show him where I came from, and just to show him that this is the kind of a colleges we came from, or schools we came from. So that is true. These are very well connected, and thanks for putting them here. You did a good research. So when I what is happening is, if you talk about, you were asking me about my background. So that's my primary education. That's in Tadipatri, which is a 6th and 7th. And then thereafter, I went to Guntur. And it's interesting that I always been in government schools. I have not gone to any private schools, which most of the kids today have access to. But
was it English medium, or actually was it in a local language?
No, it was a completely local medium. So everything I studied was in Telugu until the 10th class. And then afterwards, I went to a PUC, which is in Karnataka, because my dad wanted me to study in Satyasai Sai College, which is a wonderful thing that happened to me. And I went to the Bangalore for PUC, yeah.
No, I was just wondering, so from a small school to an institute like that, how did you feel? I mean, did you fit in, or was it difficult?
Yeah, it's a big change for me. The first thing was I never was surrounded with the people who are speaking English. It's with Telugu women when you go to local schools, and some of us have gone there. And it was all Telugu speaking. There's no English speaking. So suddenly you go to this school, which is one of the best in India, and where a lot of international as well as the national kids come from all over the country and the world. And then I'm surrounded with all of these great kids who have done excellent education and comes from the best of best schools, talking in English and very fluent and debating. And I was just taken. It was very overwhelming. I was shy. I was scared to talk because I didn't know how to speak well in English. And that was my first life challenge I faced.
I think a lot of students here can hear themselves, especially when they talk about the language and the communication. We have had interaction with students where they all come up to say to us that I don't have the English, but looking at you, I'm sure they're getting inspired. Okay, so you just finished your schooling, and then what? Why engineering?
So yes, I finished my schooling. That was a great experience, and coming to Satyasai Sai College was amazing. And then going to engineering college, those days in the 80s, your decisions are not because you love something or you want to do something. It is all decided by your uncles and aunts or people who are my dad took me to some a few of his friends and his relatives. They said, oh, engineering is good, let him do engineering. So that's how it happened to me. I was not passionate about this or that. I was just wanted to study well and learn more. And that's how the engineering actually started. But then in engineering, I was very keen on doing civil engineering. That was in 80s, that was the biggest. Everybody wanted to civil engineering. That was a big, in each year, in each decade, there's some demand for each engineering. 80s was mechanical and civil was good, and electronics was unheard, and only people who couldn't get in there get to choose electronics and telecommunication. And that is pretty much what happened to me. I got into one civil engineering program in Gulbarga, and then I also got into Hubli, but that was electronics. I just decided to go with electronics because it's something new and exciting. So that's all I did after that.
I think it's lucky for the electronics and semiconductor industry in India that happened at that point of time.
Yeah.
So you finished your bachelor's, and then even I think back then you actually decided to leave your city, your country, and go to US for a master's.
Yeah, that is again. I have to thank my father and my family. My father is a great visionary. He studied his BLLB, but he never did any government job. He always did something innovative, and he was an entrepreneur by himself. So I think he wanted. I was one of the good kids who were doing well in the studies, so he chose me. I said, "You should go to America." So I said, Great. I also was excited to do that, and then for me, it was going from Andhra Pradesh to Bangalore was a big challenge and with a lot of learning. From there to Karnataka, Hubli was a very different place. I learned Kannada there, and again back to normal. Not many people spoke English there in engineering college, but Kannada was very prominent, so I learned Kannada there. And then I thought maybe started going to America is the right thing to do. And I have to say a couple of experiences here. Those days, nothing was easy. You'll have to find out everything. There's some GRE, TOEFL, you have to do that. And then I went to the visa process, and they rejected me. That was the saddest day in my life. I said I was so sad, and it made me even more stronger. I have to go there. Why did they reject me? And next 3 months, I really worked hard to see what all they need, and I think I prepared well. And then I tried to be bold there. I think that typically what I've seen when we are coming from a smaller town, you're a little bit timid, you're shy, you're afraid to say things. And American culture, they love to have people who are more forwarding opinion, expressing their opinions. So I think I trying to do that in the visa. Second time I got lucky, I got that. Yeah. So
okay.
that's how my journey started to America.
Okay. So Pradeep, I would like to have a few questions, like just more on technical side, because I was one of the privileged to work with you, like technically, right? While I was in Qualcomm. Right? So how was tell us your first job, right? From after the masters, so do you had any dream job? Like, what was the experience like?
So yes, and the first job was I have to say that was my first foundation of my career, I would say. As Kamakoti sir said, right, it is important to understand the entire end-to-end understanding of the process. I got into LSI Logic. I had a couple of offers in those days, but I chose LSI. Again, there is some amount of destiny or luck, whatever you call. My first boss was Jensen Huang, who is the CEO of NVIDIA, one of the most valuable fabless semiconductor company. I worked for him for 3+ years and learned a lot. Number one was corporate world. The first thing I've learned is in education, there's no much of ownership. You study something, your IQ plays a lot of role, and you do exams. But when you come to corporate world, you constantly have to solve problems. You have to go after. You have to own it, and that's something I learned there. And number two, I would say is Jensen was a visionary. He was a total package: technology, marketing, sales, customer interactions. I just used to watch him, how he was talking to customers and how everything he's doing. I learned a lot. I think your manager is very important role in your life. And you need to learn as much as possible from your manager because they're all seniors, right? And they all have certain good experiences. So never underestimate your managers. Try to build a good relationship and learn as much as you can is possible.
Okay, but you've been a successful entrepreneur today, right? How early you did start as an entrepreneur, right? So how long you were in LSI, and what was the motivation to get into entrepreneurship? And tell us something about it. How did it happen? Is it an accident or is it a planned one?
Sure. So this was, I would say, partly it was desire, number one, and number two, it was time came for me to take that challenge, and that came to my life in many ways. I got married, and then those days visa was very hard. I was already a green card holder. My wife could not join. She got rejected by American embassy, and I was so disappointed. That was my second time. I felt very sad. I decided, okay, if you don't give me a wife to my visa, I will go and figure it out what to do in India. That's what I did. So I came back to India. That was the biggest, I would say, risk I've taken. There was a challenge faced, and I wanted to be with parents, and being out without your spouse for 3+ years after you're married, very tough. And so I said, fine, let me go back to India. And I spoke to LSI Logic, and they gave me an opportunity to come to India. And when I came to India, and I was running in Silicon Valley at the 1,000 miles because I was working with Apple, Intel, Dell, so many companies. And I came to India in 1994. Not much happening there. People didn't even hear about ASICs. Semiconductor was unheard. I went BEL, BHL, every possible company to develop and C-Dot to develop the business for India and get some technology going there. For 8 months, I was frustrated. 6, 7 months, I was really frustrated. And then, but I saw a huge talent in India. And then I was reading a lot of newspapers, right? Every day there was a Wipro was going to be 2,000 people. Infosys is just going to be from 2,000 plus onwards. Many software services companies was happening. A lot of talk were talking about how software services are growing in India. That kind of gave me a light bulb in my head. I said, and I saw many places I went there, excellent talent in whether it's BEL, BHEL, every C-Dot. People had a very good engineering talent. Then I said, I should be able to do chip design services from India. I want to be in India for whatever reason. So that's how my first company started. So I have to thank my wife for that. She didn't get her visa. So that's the reason.
So how old were you at that time when you started the?
I was 29. Wow,
fantastic.
I was 29. I had my first baby when I first decided to quit the job and decide to. And what is a good? I mean, that's a great time, right? You have no fixed expenses. Your baby only needs diaper and little bit food, and then not much to expectations when you're newly married. So it's all good, and just started that. And in fact, I do remember. My first, when my daughter was born, she and in 9 days I registered the company.
Wow.
I think the 20th day I got my first project. So,
so what was the first company called? Like, what is the name? Can you please share some experience about that company? How difficult or was it easy?
Oh yeah. So my first company was Spike Technologist. That was the company name. So as soon as I started off, I went back to India. I mean, so US for business and all of that.
So which year was it, Pradeep, when the Spike was formed?
It was 1994.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So 94, and then I went there. And again, this is very important corporate. How you your relationships, your credibility, your professionalism all matters, because I did such a. The people in the LSI Logic knew who I was, what I delivered, and how well I was working with the team. They gave me a first set of projects without even blinking. They said, "Great, you are there. We're happy to give you these projects." I was shocked. And before even I started, that's how I think it's very important for the youngsters. And one key thing you have to learn: wherever you are, be very professional. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't look at for short-term goals. Don't say things that are not true, and your reputation follows even after 30 years. So it's very important for you to understand. Be truthful. You can always convince people if you tell the truth. If you try to camouflage with something and the other person comes to know what you said is not true and you just did it because you want to escape from a situation. And I have to say that in my experience, many people do that. They want to quit the job. First thing they say is they kill someone in the family, which is sad. Grandmother, somebody, I have to move on, which is not true, or sometimes it's not true. So rather than just say, look, I want to learn something different, it's okay. Nobody will hold you. So be that honesty, that professionalism is very important. And they like that. Most of us like that. We don't stop. So I think that is what the first journey was good. And then association with the right people. My partner, Nikhil Modi, again, the same reason. It just happened over one meeting. I went to America. I was looking for projects and he came. He said, I want to partner with you. And again, the relationship, and he saw me and I knew him as well. He's a great guy. I've learned a lot from him. Very professional, very, very ethical, and extremely honest to the level where it was a good experience. Yeah.
Okay, so like when I was about to join Qualcomm, I've read in reports that the Spike was ready to go to or I heard from you, I don't know, because you were chance to become an IPO and go public, but it never happened actually, right?
Yes, there was a boom those days in 2000. There's a lot of companies who wanted to go to IPO. We were also looked at IPO. There was a lot of opportunity. I think because we're engineers, we didn't know how to structure the team. We just did whatever we did in those days. I think there were structural issues kind of did not happen, and by then market was softening, and I think Qualcomm came, the great company. So we just took Qualcomm as a.
But how can you please talk about how did the Qualcomm acquisition happen? How did Qualcomm land in India, right?
Oh, okay.
You are one of the successful person what Qualcomm is today. That's because of Pradeep Vajram, actually, right? So how did it happen?
So Qualcomm was a very interesting story. We were doing a great job for Qualcomm in America. We had one of the biggest customers was Qualcomm for us. They were looking at setting with center in India. So they approached, said, "Hey, why don't we acquire you?" I was like, "Okay." There was few other companies. That's the time frame when many companies were moving to India. Like there was Intel, Broadcom, Qualcomm. Many companies were trying to move to India to set up their centers in India. We had many acquisitions proposals. We had a few, right from big MNCs to Qualcomm to other companies. We chose Qualcomm because we are very familiar with them, and the 2G, 3G was a great 3G was a great technology, and wireless was a great technology, and they moved very quickly, and then we chose them because they knew us, we knew them as a customer. That's again your work, your delivery, the way you work. So they were very happy with how professional we were, and so they came and offered.
Yeah. Okay, but in Qualcomm, right, it's more of a product centric, but the Spike was more of services, and actually started working in Qualcomm. It's like more about products and doing product. You build a world class team in Qualcomm in Bangalore, like starting from about 100 employees. I think by the time I was in Qualcomm, it was about 100. But yeah, then how did it grow? Can you please talk about that, your journey in Qualcomm, right? And also, it was not a brand; it was an international brand, but in Qualcomm, and even if the employees and Spike employees, it was difficult to sell, I suppose, right? It was not well known, it was not well branded. So there are two questions. So could you talk about Qualcomm as a product company? How did you build that up as a strong team in Bangalore? And second part is not a known brand, but I had a lot of opposition within the team also, basically to convince people that hey, this is the right decision what we made, right?
Sure. So yes, Qualcomm was a great brand. People knew about it in all over America. There was one of the greatest technology companies, but I think in India it wasn't. They were not there, so they didn't. They were not there to start with in 2004 when they acquired us. So it was a challenge for me to hire people. Again, whenever the new challenges are there, I'm a corporate. Qualcomm is a huge corporation. I have to remove that corporation head in and said, okay, try to go and convince people to join me. I clearly remember one of our colleague, which you also know, Sheetal, who was trying to come as a project manager. He wasn't that convinced. So I had to actually tell, he was going to airport or somewhere. So I told him, I'll come and drop you at the airport. I'll try to tell you what Qualcomm is all about. So I just left and went and picked him up. And during the journey, I spoke to him, hey, you should come and join. And that's what happened. So I have to go back and try to, and likewise, Venu Puwada is another great guy. He was a TI. So we had to convince him. And he knew that this was a great opportunity for him. But there is also, we worked with him, and it was less pull for him. Venu was more interested in coming in, but the rest of the folks have to work a lot to convince them to come and join us.
Okay, and so in Qualcomm, I think you had a big team, right? You built a lot of people, 300 plus for a short point of time. You also got promoted as a vice president engineering in Qualcomm, right?
Yes.
But then you took a decision. You took us to shock as employees, right? We all were shocked. You said you're resigning, you're going, and going away. So you were very young at that time. One of the youngest people to become a vice president engineering for a big multinational company. You had the title, you had the position, and you're just building good environment for the employees to work. It was a great place to work. Also, at the time, Qualcomm was one of the great places to work. So what made you to leave Qualcomm and again go back to the startup actually, right?
Yeah. So it's Hari, there was a couple of big success we had, Hawk and Coil, and these are the 2G projects. And that was the biggest challenge. Nobody believed that we can deliver things that from India. And thanks to all the great people that have joined on the team.
Hey, I was a chip lead for the Hawk. If you
yeah. So it was a great success, and we blew all their expectations. Right? Qualcomm didn't think that we can deliver such a great products from such a young team. And we did that. And thereafter, many things came to, it's a big success and a lot of projects came in. After that, I didn't feel I was challenged enough, honestly. And then once you're an entrepreneur, right, I always do something different. I always want to be another entrepreneur. So I was built things from scratch. And this kind of job was very hard. Again, that's a risk taking. People, my own friends tell you are a stupid fellow to leave a job, which everybody wants to do something like this. It's a great job, worldwide recognition. Why are you leaving and restarting all over again? But that's what I like. That's what my passion is. It's not about a big corporation, big job, or great position in the in ecosystem. But I want to do something from scratch all over again. And I felt there was an opportunity. There was a gap in the many services companies, the end-to-end what he was looking at. With the Qualcomm experience, I had a lot of chip experience, but at Qualcomm I learned a lot of software. So it's very natural for me to, okay, great, there's no good company that can do end-to-end. Let me do that. So that's
but what is the issue? Why it was a services? Because you were already services to product, but then you went back to services, right?
Yeah. So that was my core strength, chip design and understanding and implementing and delivering quality projects and building the right teams. And it was natural that I want to play on my own strength to start with. Second time I didn't want to do that. And I think that was an instinct. And there was an opportunity also. I understood that very well. That technology background was there. The gap, I can see that. So that's why I said, okay, there's a gap. Let me go and fill the gap. That's really what happened. Yeah.
Right. So when you start from the scratch, but by the time the smart play grew, right, it became very successful. One of the top players to work, as we saw in your profile, actually, right? So how was the journey from zero to one of the top second company, in the industry? How did it go? And so we want to learn from you. How do you do that?
Well, Hari, it's all about the team. Honestly, I'm the face of the company. That's all there is. The leader sets the culture and DNA of the company. But the team that's below you and thereafter is the one who truly carries what you want to do, and the credit goes to them. So it's a very important thing we all have to learn, students, and very important. You're as good as the people you associate with. So if you are 5 people you associate with, good people, your value is average of all the 5. So what it means is associate the right people, get the right team, put the right culture, put right professionalism. Even if you hire wrong person into a team, which is a very professional environment, they fall off. They will not stick with you. And we've been very lucky. I have been very lucky. Sanjay Paulsamudra, one of my partners, great guy. Vijay Mohan, great person. Jimmy Pack, great guy. Tanya Chur. These are all the guys came together. And a lot of these guys either knew me in the industry or worked with me. So they all wanted to come back. And that's all that happened. And another thing, very important thing I remember very quickly, when I moved out of Qualcomm, the first thing Qualcomm management was worried, look, are you going to hire all your people back again? No, that's not professional. I sold the company to you. Why will I hire them back again? And not even a single person, there was many people who wanted to come and join me because I did not do that. I said, no, we should not do that. That's not unethical. Plus, number 2, that's not professional. And because of that, my credibility in Qualcomm went even more. So when I started my smart play, they wanted to do more projects with me.
Right.
So I think it's not about I'm a most intelligent guy. I think it's more about I would say, how we behaved, how professionally you are is very important.
Okay. So what is the secret sauce? There are so many startups struggling actually, right? And they go bankrupt, they dissolve, but become so successful, built a big company. And I think you said your customer for the Qualcomm, again, you set up a ODCs inside Qualcomm. I've seen all those things happening, right? Is there any secret recipe for, let's say, if I want to build a startup, what should I learn from you? It's not everyone is successful, but Pradeep is successful. So what is the difference?
Well, the difference is, again, I said the team is very important, and said have an understanding of what you really are solving. Just don't do any company. That's the problem. And you need to understand your technology very well. You need to understand what's happening in the market. To get to that, you need some good experience as well, or associate with the right things. So the team is the most important, and do something what you really like. Don't do that for money. That's money will come if you what you do, what you like. You'll be good at it, and it'll be naturally successful if you're good.
And what did you do to retain the team, right? So team is important. I'm sure you have some secret of the speech to share with us. How do you retain the team in a hostile Bangalore environment, actually, right?
Yeah. I have to say that is a culture what we built. It was I think Madhubala's husband used to work with me, and she was a part of the family, Qualcomm family. We used to have a great culture in the company. We used to make sure that employee had a lot of fun. Never treated them as different. It was never transactional relationship. Okay.
If I may just add one line, I still remember Pradeep actually took time to come to our daughter's first birthday. I still have pictures, and it's like he said, it's part of even though I was not like working, but part of the extended family. It's always been there.
Yeah.
It's a really.
I want to recollect when I did my housewarming function in Bangalore, right? I invited my immediate manager, but I didn't invite Pradeep. But I got a call from Kripakaran, like, no, he was my immediate manager, and like, Hari, can you please come down? I have a guest for you, right? When he came, I was shocked. Pradeep was at my doorstep in the road, so I accompanied him, and it's so nice of him, like without inviting. You won't expect a head of the company, like, just to come unannounced. Actually, it's so nice of him.
No, I heard Kripakaran said it's a great lunch, so I said okay.
And when he did a housewarming, he invited us. I also remember going to his villa, like when he had near the Intel office. What are the community?
Yeah, so right? That again I learned from my bosses. Look, I had a great Murthy Rendu Chintala was my immediate
right.
Amazing personality, and he always treated me at the utmost respect, and he gave me a lot of room to grow, and he didn't put any restrictions. A lot of love and connection. That is something very important. If my supervisor is doing that to me, if I do the same thing, it impacts. And today I have such a great respect and relationship and to some of my bosses. It's important because not just the work alone, right? It's other things that really matter. So one other thing I've learned, irrespective of who it is, when someone tries to reach you, always respond. Whereas position is not important, the person is important. And position will keep changing, guys. In this dynamic world, you may be the highest position one day, second day you are at the lowest position. Now things change, but your behavior should be consistent with no matter who you are. You give respect to the person, not to the position. Yeah. So it's very important. You need to learn that.
Okay, so the very, very, very important question. I'm sure many of the audience want to ask. So there are a lot of ideas out there, and people want to become entrepreneurs, right? At 29 or even before, or fresh from the college, they want to become entrepreneurs. They have great ideas. So what they should do? Right? What is the process they should follow?
Well, there is no formula to set a company or to be successful, right? Many things you have to constantly be connected to what's happening in the industry, what's happening with your own team. And great companies, if you look at it, many companies start with some idea and they pivot, because the team understands where you start may not be the right thing, but they go, they look at it. It's a survival skill. And it's an ability to have the bigger vision, what you want to create. It's important. And be constantly aware of what's happening and try to, but don't change every day. That's also important. Set a goal, have something very set in mind, but be aware of what's happening. If something is threatening, you have to adapt to a few changes, you have to do that. Change, adaptation.
No,
I think there's 1 hour. I'm not sure how much time you have.
No, we have time. There's a couple of more questions. It's going very interesting. I'm sure people won't mind spending extra minutes, right? So there are colleges do courses like entrepreneurship skills. How do you build? There's a lot of textbooks, right? It's something we cannot, like cooking. I cannot read a book and cook, right? I'll burn my hands, right? So entrepreneurship cannot read from the book, right? So how do you prepare yourself, your mind, and what is the that's what I meant by asking. Maybe my question didn't come out clear. Let's say, I have a son. Let's assume he's up 21. Let us say he wants to start a company, right? So what should I tell him basically?
Okay, first of all, there are a couple of mantras or fundamentals. Okay, number one, you need to really understand what you want to do and whether you are solving a problem. If you're not solving a problem, you're doing one of the regular stuff. Then you are one among 1,000 people who are doing that. it'd be very hard to become successful. So first identify a problem and see what problem you're solving, and see if there is a way to people are willing to accept your solution. Whether it is a cost, whether it's a technology, whether whatever it is, what is the primary importance to someone to buy this kind of your product, whether it's a service, doesn't matter. Have that understanding, and at the end of the day, I know the team is very critical, and you have to have the right folks into your team, and have some mentors. Please believe that mentors are great. Go into the industry, look out for them, and a lot of people are open to that. I'll give you one example. I had 1,200 employees in Smart Play, and there was one young graduate fresher. He had somehow he kept connecting with me. He didn't have fear. He will come. Can I have 10 minutes with you? Sure. Then he'll talk. Again, after 6 months, he'll come. He kept in touch with me no matter what. And a lot of us shy away from that. He's a big, he's a senior management. I don't want to talk to him. But don't bother them too much also. But you have to strike a balance, right? And a lot of us are interested to guide. And that's how I was guided by most of my uncles and seniors. And they're happy to do that. So have that. And out of 1,200 people, I can say that maybe 40, 50 of them are very connected. Other people are they're a little shy, they don't. But don't do that. Take leverage your connections. Your talk to them nicely. Balance it. Don't go too bored. Don't call them every day. But whenever you have an important decision, have mentors. They'll be happy to do that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say I have good ideas. Like ideas are important. So you said if you think, you know what is happening in the industry, the ideas are important actually, right? Yeah. Let's say I have a great idea and I have well connected, but still need money to run a business. Actually, you need VC funding, and today economic climate is not very conducive, right? So how does the students, like young minds or the people with few years of experience, like how do they go about it? Basically, the funding.
Well, see, for any good idea, irrespective of what timings are, maybe tough, but investors are also eager to invest in a good companies. So it's important to convince what you're trying to do. If you're not able to convince investors, there is some flaw with your system. What you're trying to. So sometimes some great ideas are not connected, but proof of concept is important. When you're trying to do a product, what you're trying to solve. What is your technology secret sauce to do that? What market that it can provide? What ability to grow the value in a company? What is the market size you're doing? Those things have to come into very clearly into your presentation when you're pitching to the investors. If you have these three things nailed down and you're a great team, people will put money.
Okay. And how do you create the wealth? Let's say people invested, but you have to give returns to the investors actually, right? So you have to create the wealth, like how you are created in Smart Play, right? So how do you create the wealth, and how one goes about creating? Let's say you're from the zero, you're bringing a $250 million value, right? You have to give back to the investor, right? So how do you work towards that?
Well, you don't say that I want to be $250,000 or $500,000. You'll never say that. It's like you build something which is interesting. Guaranteed, if you build something good, there is an acquirer. It's you cannot plan to exit or to sell or to do that. You put your heart and soul to do what is right. And if there's a market, it will come. And I'll tell you, there are many examples, right? Product companies, service companies. Look at Indigo Airlines. They did very well. It's a very competitive field. But they figured it out how to make it very customer-centric. And very prompt timing, excellent service, very optimized everything for cost. Great. It's a very tough business, but they did it. So I think you need to have that, what is the value you're providing. And once you do that, exit automatically happens.
So what are you doing these days, Pradeep? Right? After Smart Play got acquired, so services, I heard you're doing something on product these days, right? So what are you up to these days?
Yeah, I'm right now running a company called Alpha ICs. It's an AI co-processor company where we're building co-processors for edge solutions, both for inference and for edge learning. So both it's a cutting edge technology. It's like Professor Kamakoti has done a risk processing, and we're doing on the inferencing side and the AI processors. And that's something that's again passion, right? When you did two companies, I think a lot of people can associate with this. When you're doing commercial movies, you want to do something a much more theme-based movie, right? So I think this is something my passion is. I want to at least one product company from India. It's tough. It's very competitive in general. It requires a lot more. It's different animal altogether. But the thing is, if you don't try, you'll always feel sad when you finish, when you're retiring. I should do that. So I'm very passionate. I'm passionate about it. That's why I'm trying to do this.
So is this again end to end, like what your resume says, right? Is it again end to end?
It's a fabless semiconductor company. It's a processor company.
But in the fabless, it's end to end. So hardware, software systems.
Yes.
Together, right?
Yes.
A complete product by itself.
Yes, correct.
Very good. So I think
wrap up. I think even Pradeep's time, we're about almost 7:15.
Yeah. One last question. One last question to Pradeep.
Students, maybe.
Yeah, one last question. So Pradeep, what are the future plans, and ambitions, right? So I would like to conclude this, then we'll open the house to the students.
Well, my future plan is again not much right now. My whole focus is to make sure that what I'm doing is it'll put in a right track and it'll be successful. Thereafter, obviously, as an entrepreneur, I've done it enough, and I would encourage more entrepreneurs, either through investment or through guiding them from India.
Okay, so let me go back to the questions. Yeah. So that one.
Few questions from the students, Pradeep, just about 2 minutes, and then maybe you can say a few words, and we'll.
Yeah. So is the technological invention, you're working on artificial intelligence and machine learning and everything, right? So people are asking, the VLSI will die or VLSI will sustain for years to come?
Well, VLSI will never die. If VLSI dies, I don't think it's ingredient in everything that we touch today. The phones, the printers, anywhere you go, semiconductor is going to thrive. No question about it.
So what is the buzz about RISC-V? People asking about RISC-V is very popular today. It's Sci-Fi and those kind of companies coming up, right?
Yeah.
So what is about RISC-V? Why is it so popular? And people are asking what is the buzz?
It's an open source architecture, so it allows many people to develop this, and it's with all the things that are dynamics that are happening with the ARM and probably getting into NVIDIA buying that, and people want an alternative. I guess I think there's an opportunity. So. It's a good area to be in, and I'm glad that Professor Kamakoti is doing something from India. It is very valuable. I think if you look at why he's building it, I think one of the key things he says is the security, because today, whether it's a defense, whether it's a mobile, whether we are all there are processors are the key part of it, and having indigenous solution. Processor, which RISC-V is an open architecture, open source processor set. So it helps. Definitely it'll be very good for us to have the technology indigenously.
Yeah, we have an interesting question from a student, right? Yeah. So how do I analyze that my idea is viable and not? And I'm always come back to the problem of gathering courage to convince myself that whether it is a good or not. Students have the doubt actually, right? He has an idea, like how do you know it's viable or not viable? How do you know?
Well, pitch your viable idea to people that are good in that industry and listen to them. If they are saying, they give you advice, okay? So, and that's important. And sometimes not necessary that every expert is good, because now a lot of people also make mistakes. People cannot, even the greatest technologist may have he can give an opinion, but he may not have whether it will fly or not. He may give some confidence, but if you're convinced it's the right thing to do, go ahead and start implementing and see where it takes you. If you have means to do that. If you don't, and I think you have to rely on the investors.
Okay. So, question my other student, like, how do we know how efficient is my team in a startup?
You'll never know in 100% that your efficiency startup is how good a team. It's like that's why your a network. That's why your relationships matter. So you know who you when you try to hire people. Their technical strength is good, but also please do as much as due diligence how they are in the previous companies. And typically they give you their reference, and most of them give their friends, people they have good to say. But if you have resources, if you have an ability to do some more research, please do that, because they become a very important part of your team.
Okay. So there's a question on the analog AI processor from Mythic. Will it be path breaking in the AI processor industry?
Yeah.
So they want to know, like, will it succeed the analog AI processor?
Well, yes, analog AI is definitely and the technology is very nascent, and people are looking into trying to do that. It's possible, nothing is impossible, but it is definitely possible. But I believe that it will take time. Analog has got the problem with analog is very noise sensitive, environmental sensitive. So if you want to build a processor which is more robust in respect of where you put your processor, it is going to be challenging. Digital is the way to go for now. But I'm sure over the time they will be able to solve these issues, technology issues, and maybe 5 to 6 years from now, they will start coming up with stable solutions. And in my mind, they'll be very focused on niche areas, to start with. And
okay. So another question, right, for the young graduates who are just graduating. So what are your suggestion and advice to them? What should they do, right? We spoke about the gap in the campus and corporate. So what do you tell the young minds that what they should do?
Well, if I'm graduating today, let's say if I'm a graduating guy, and if I had an opportunity to go back to school and graduate, I'll become 20 years old guy now. I would, my personal opinion, I would always like to work with a startup. The reason for that is startups is a small team, right? You have a 20, 30 member team, and you get to do a lot. It's very important to have a full understanding of what's happening, and startup gives you that. And your ability to understand what you're building, all aspects of it. It's a small team. It gives you great access to the CTOs and CEOs and COOs, business guys. So that I think is I would do that as a person who's getting into the. Most of us, when we were growing, brand was important, because if you don't get into the Infosys or Wipro, if you're at a smaller company, you most likely you will not get married to a good. There's one of the criteria to get into a good family or whatever marriage, you need to have a big MNC on your resume. So that has changed now. So don't worry about that anymore. So get into startups. That's not a myth anymore. That's not a stigma anymore. So I think get into startup and learn as much as you can.
Okay. So one last question, Pradeep. So before we wind up, right? So how do you propose the business model to the investors?
How do you propose?
Business model, not to the fiancé, to the business model to the investor.
It's a very a big question now, but 3 things I would say. First of all, problem statement. Number 2, what is that you're trying to solve, and what's your secret sauce? What is that others are not doing that you're doing that can solve this problem more efficiently, more cost effectively? And third thing, which typically most of them miss, at least in Indian environment, the youngsters, understanding of market. How big is the market? What is your ability to gain that market? And where is the market? How to access that market? And what is the revenues and market you can build? That's very important. Finance is very important. And what it takes to build is also important. You have to go with the proper understanding of financial diligence of what is required to invest, how much it requires to build the product, and what it takes to grow the product. Revenues.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you, Pradeep, for your valuable time. So I'll quickly walk through our sponsors and partners. We have stopped in between. So
sorry, I just want to say, Pradeep, if you're running short of time, I know we have taken only 1 hour from you. So if you have to be somewhere, Please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate for giving me this opportunity, and thank you guys. And I hope people have got some tips on what to do and in their future. Most welcome. If any of you are interested to connect with me, I'm available, and Hari can give me my contact information. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pradeep. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Attendees, we request you to stay back. We have some more announcements from Springbok and also the feedback form.
Right. So we want to continue to thank our sponsors and partners getting the goal professionally. And I said about Swaroop, about Swaroop Gandevar, he was instrumental in getting the logos and all the creatives. What you see in everyday webinar, right? You see a nice particular image. That's all his ideas. We are so much thankful to Swaroop Gandevar for his enthusiasm and never-ending ideas. It's almost like Akshay Patra, what is it, right? So ideas keep coming after that. It's that kind of a person, a gem of a person whom I met, right? And thank to Airmeet for the wonderful platform. Yeah, they've been excellent support to us. I think without them, we would have struggled. We evaluated a lot of platforms. We do Zoom, we do this. Things were expensive, and then we found Airmeet was willing to offer this to almost free to us because we have no revenue to spend money, right? So Airmeet was so thankful to them. They've been fantastic resource, and we have been so happy to have worked with Airmeet. Again, we also want to thank Swaroop for introducing us the Airmeet. Thank you, Swaroop. And we want to thank MentorCard, very unique app. So you could go and install in your mobile phones. It's it's an app-based platform. It's a mentorship platform. I'm happy to announce that I'm one of the mentees in the particular platform. So if you have any questions on chip design, you have any question, you don't know whom to ask, right? You go to the app and post it, and you understand how the app works. So when I find time, I'll go and answer those questions. You can track it. So you don't have to find me in LinkedIn, or you don't have to email the series webinar. It's not that way. People lose track, right? You can get there to the particular, download the app. You could shoot any questions, not just technical. There are appropriate mentors who can guide you. They say, you ask now, how do I start a startup? How do you make a business plan? How do you convince my customer? It could be anything, right? Yeah, how do I get a job? It could be anything, right? What skills I need to have? Just shoot any questions, right? Or how much money I need to do for this business. It could be any question, right? On any technical questions, I'll pick it up and answer on the semiconductor side. I'm one of the mentees in that platform. Thanks to MentorCard for giving this wonderful opportunity. So anything on the chat, they answer offline. It is free of cost to anybody. But if you get onto a call, the MentorCard has a model, financial model. So you have to talk to them, understand what is the model. Then you can connect with the people. If you spend based on number of minutes or number of hours the person spends, the mentee spends. So there's a cost involved in it, right? So which is understandable. So please download the app. You have a look at it. A lot of features are free. So you make use of that. It's a fantastic platform to stay connected with us, with Madhu and me, because you don't have a private email addresses, right? So we have, we have a WhatsApp group, we have a Telegram group. That's all good, but still professionally going to handle and get our attention, and it can be tracked also in the MentorCard. So go and use that particular app. You can download it in your phones. Then you can start shooting your questions there, right? And we also want to thank to the Seer Academy. So it's a fantastic it's one of the finishing houses. They have a similar model where we work. There's a common vision we have, and it's a close business associate to us. So we are thankful to Hridesh Singhal for supporting us throughout last few months and sharing his knowledge, wealth, and things about the do's and don'ts. Typically, right? You need a mentor, right? Pradeep spoke about that. So the Seer Academy is more like a mentor to us and sharing their knowledge and without any commercial intent, right? So we are looking forward to work with them in the near future, right? And we also talked to Dr. Binsu ma'am. Hope she's attending. She said she's not well. She may not attend. And we want to talk to the director and the dean of Triple IT, Design and Management Kanchipuram. They've been so wonderful, so nice to us. They're willing to, they like our ideas. They're similar-minded people. They want to work with us moving forward. So they are one of the partners for this particular webinar. I want to thank the people actually who are contributing in terms of money, the corporates, right? The CIT, the Chennai Institute of Technology, the #2 institution in Tamil Nadu, in Anna University range, right? The fantastic campus. I was clean bold actually when I visited the campus a few weeks before, right? They're running many startup company inside the campus. It's unimaginable actually, right? So they're doing a lot of fantastic ideas. We've been talking to them, Mr. Sriram Parthasarthi, Dr. Ramesh, the principal, and Dr. Balamurgan and everyone. We've been a fantastic connect, like-minded people. We intend to do a lot of work with Chennai Institute of Technology, God willing. All right, so fantastic people. Thanks for your contribution. Some pretty substantial amount. Thank you so much, sir, for contributing to Sevalaya. And Dr. Sriram himself is an entrepreneur, so he understands the pain of the students, basically, right? And I want to talk to Dr. Ganesh Vaidyanathan. He's here. He's one of the earliest person to sponsor when I started talking to people that we are raising money for charity, and he said, yeah, first, yeah, we got approval. Here is your money, right? He committed. It's not a lack of cash, but he committed early, very, very, very early, and said, yeah, we'd like to be your partner, right? Really kind of, and he's my class, but he's also principal of the college. I also was alumnus of the same college, and I'm really thankful to Ganesh for your kind gesture, and also attending this particular webinar and being amongst us, spending your valuable time with us, and thanks for the wonderful quote about the Pradeep. Thank you so much, Ganesh, for your nice gesture. I want to thank Mr. Brijesh, and I'm not sure whether he's in the audience or not, but from the Bellwether Advisors, is one of the your personal CFO. So we're really thankful to them for guiding us in our tough times. They run a very good business on how to manage your finances and those kind of thing. And he's not just giving money. He want to understand. He want to do due diligence on how the Sevalia works before he commit money, right? So pretty interesting, right? Because the finance guy, you want to know where his money is used, how they are, what is the model, what they are doing, and so we are very thankful to you, Brijesh, for your guidance and for your also to contributing to Sevalia. Thank you so much. And we also want to talk our partners. Not partners means they're not our rivals, so we call them partners. They are startup companies. The Spiker works are on both on the VLSI design. Spiker works and with the Gaurav Jalan and Karthik Anand, also the Adapt Chips. Mr. Madan, they're good friend of mine for very long years. We have a similar thought. We want to help the student community. We are doing similar things, but they are on the other side. They're on the corporate side. Thank you so much, Madan and Karthik and Gaurav and all the people out there for helping us and donating to the Sevalia. Thank you so much. And there are plenty of individuals, through lack of time, I'm not reading them, but I put my name in the beginning, not because I'm there in the beginning, but because I believe in, before I preach, I want to practice. That's my culture, right? That's my habit. So I thought, even if we're going to ask money with the like-minded people, I should donate first. So I donated money first, then only I started asking my other friends. So all the people over USA and the Singapore and Hong Kong, all over the world, the people are there. There are people, very leaders. They are well-known personality, right? I'll talk about the Malik Mahalingam and Balaji Venkatesh. Go to the other slide. And there's one odd man out here, one of the student from SVCE, right? There's a very noble guy, because we are appealing all the students, and he was the first one to come and donate from the student community, right? Thank you, Guda, Venkatesh, Kautik, wherever you are. We bless you. Thank you so much. God bless you, right? And I want to mention another gentleman, right? It's one of the first person I worked with in industry, right? When I was graduate in 93, I was just working on my first company, and he was my first intern, my first employee. I was a manager for him. I just had less than 1 year of experience at that time. Imagine, right? So my plight, right? I had few people. The first guy was my intern, and then he became my employee, right? Direct report also, right? And when I spoke to him, he was so humbled and he was so happy to connect with me. And he a substantial amount in dollars he donated. I don't want to name the amount, but it's substantial. You just say, Hari, I like your idea. Just make sure that the money goes to your cause. He just specific. He donated a huge amount. And thank you, Sri. Thank you, Sri. And he's working actually in Marvel Incorporated. He's a very successful person today. And thank you so much, Sri, for your help. And there's another odd person. He's a medical practitioner, doctor, MBBS, MD, Dr. Anuradha Nadarajan. I would like to thank ma'am for all your help and also recording a teaser for us. There are many people. One of the vice president, who we had a talk with him. He did a teaser and he made a keynote lecture to us, and he also donated. What more to ask? Thank you, Sriram. Thank you, Sriram. I know you are in the audience. Thank you so much. And there's another CEO, Arun. So one of our well-wisher, and he's helping in all possible ways. Right? Thank you so much, Arun. Thank you for another CEO. You have a lot of CEOs here, so don't underestimate them. Right? Another CEO, Srikant Raghavan. He was one of the guest of honor, one of the lectures. You would have heard from him. Thank you, Srikant. And Jagan Ayaswamy is working in Micron US. Thank you so much, Jagan. And Vinidra, Anita, and there are some of the staffs. See, SPS is just rocking. The principal is on the call. Some of the faculty is also donated. The students are donating. There is a college as such is donating. You have the fantastic partners to us. Thank you so much, Ganesh and the team. What more to ask? I'm indebted to SVCE, right? I'm so happy. And also the other people on the board, Prem from USA and Mr. Lakshmi Narasimhan from Qualcomm Bangalore. Thank you so much. They're very senior people with 25, 28 years of experience. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for helping us out. And I want to acknowledge all the people doing the teaser. And Sriram Sadakopan, you heard from him, is the vice president of NXP. Mr. Sri Vajrajan, who was my ex-manager and is an industry veteran. He is one of the very senior most person in the industry, in the semiconductor industry today. He wants to be anonymous. And so thank you so much. I didn't put your title and the company name because of that. And very unique people I'll talk about, like Mr. Bala Satyanarayana is a Chief HR and Board Director of the Greif Incorporated, one of the top positions in the top Fortune 500 companies. Thank you, Bala, for your help on the teaser. Mr. Malik Mahalingam, he's another entrepreneur. We look forward to hear from him very soon. He had a company called Springbok in virtualization and cloud computing. The company was acquired by Cisco a few years before, and now he's currently a VP and fellow of Intuit Incorporated, right? And Mr. Tanige Arasu for recording his teacher, wonderful teacher, also for donating from Pepper and Fitches in Singapore. And Mr. Murlidhar Sevalaya, like for your wonderful teaser. And Mr. Swarup Gandevar, I said he is one of the fantastic guy we ever worked with in the recent past. And I want to talk Mr. Shivashankar, I hope in the audience, is from SRM Vijayawada. And I got to him know, and even just with one of the group messages, he said he's readily willing to record the teaser and willing to work with us. And so very happy to see such people coming voluntarily and helping us. Yeah, look, it's a noble cause. I'll help you, right? We are able to connect. Thank God for getting introduced to such people, right? And also Sanjay Pal Samudram, I think Pradeep Vajram mentioned about him, right? He recorded a teaser, and like he's one of the top industry person, CEO of the Alpha ICs, and thanks to Sanjay. And Hriday Shingal, CEO of Serum, he did a teaser. And another faculty, Dr. Amolin Prince, he came from nowhere. Yeah, I have no idea who he is, but through my acquaintance contact, he came from BITS Pilani. He's a professor there. He's a faculty in BITS Goa. Thank you, Dr. Amolin, for your kind gesture for recording a teaser. And again, we're indebted to Dr. Alamelu, of Principal of SREC Coimbatore. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your kind gesture for recording a teaser, because your busy schedules, admissions, management, and whatnot. And also letting your students work with us, doing all the background work processing, Mr. Srinivas and Mr. Arun. I think I'm going to talk about them in the next few minutes. Thank you so much, ma'am, for enabling us. And again, Gaurav Jalan and like Varnit Jain, our donor partners from Swika Works, for recording the teasers. They are on the YouTube. You can go and look at that. They have a fantastic speech. I think you must hear them. They're not in the webinar, but they gave our wishes to us in 6 weeks before, right? And for the press coverage, I want to talk my dear friend, Mr. Padmanabhan, who's my classmate. He's in the Hindu. And thanks to him, we could have a press coverage in Hindu. I'm sure all of us read that. And to our other good noble soul, GS Vivek. And he's a very interesting personality. Let me see if we can get him this time sometime. He's in the media. And he's in New Delhi, actually, right? And he has a lot of connect with sports person and all the top leaders in the political circles and business leaders and everything. Because he's in the media. And because of his tie-up, we got in presence in NDTV, ABP Live, and News 18, both in Hindi and English, right? It's a fantastic achievement being in a remote place in Chennai, right? And getting all India coverage, that too in Hindi, right? In a national, places like NDTV and News 18, we are humbled. Thank you so much, Vivek, for your nice gesture. And also sincere thank to Arun and Srinivas. I want to take them. So I want to invite them on the stage. Just give me a minute. Yeah, I'll do that in a minute. Yeah, guys, be available. So we'll soon hear from Arun and Srinivas. So thank you so much. They have been back in work. They're unspoken heroes. They're saying what you call secret soldiers, actually, right? They did all the work, but no, we get the credit. No, it's not that way, right? So I want to really recognize Arun and Srinivas for all their help. Thank you so much, guys. I don't know how to express my gratitude in words. Yeah, warm hug from my side to Arun and Srinivas. And also Sirvesh for our webinar creatives, what you see every webinar. Thank you, Sirvesh. Again, thanks to Swarup Gandevar for introducing us to them. Fantastic guy. And in no time, he gave it. Also, Swarup sponsored those creatives. So the Springbok didn't have to spend money. Right? It's such a noble person, right? And thanks to Avinash for getting our social media coverage page and logos and all. This logo was designed by Avinash, right? And also to Pranay, our website designer. So he didn't charge any money. You see the form when you fill up to to apply for the webinar and all, right? That was by Pranay, and they did free of cost. Can you imagine your website designer doing something for free, right? So this for a noble cause. So even though they didn't pay money, they gave the time. As you know, time is a money. You know that, right? So thank you, Pranay, wherever you are. Thank you so much. Thank you for your nice gesture. And I would like to hear the music. I'm sure you would have heard this before. Yeah, I would like to thank to Mr. Sampath Dhanasekaran for the wonderful music. No, he gave it to us. You would have seen this background music and all the teasers and everything, right? Thank you, Sampath. And just quickly rush through, right? I want to take this time to thank Swarup and Harish Bharadwaj, Mr. Sriram Sadakopan, Vice President of NXP Austin, and Mr. Niaz for the fantastic lecture on 5G he gave to us. And on low power design, another fantastic lecture by Sundara Balaji. I don't want to be judgmental here when I say fantastic, but everyone is fantastic. But yeah, I'm just talking from the heart, extempore, right? So please understand, everyone is equally good. And from ARM, SOC verification methodology by my dear friend Palani, and from Anand, from Altran, and from physical design, we had an excellent lecture from Swarup, from Sudhir Reddy, another my ex-colleague, right? And from he's doing an interesting venture with Semiconnect, and from FPGA design, and from Srikanth, we got another fantastic lecture, and yeah, from Srikanth, and then from another fantastic lecture from my dear friend Shankar on silicon post silicon testing, and then last but not least, the two top industry leaders. It's very hard to get their time. They're so busy. The CTOs and chief executive chairman and all, right? They're so happy that they're, because of the cause, they were to help the students, the skill development for the engineers, young minds, also skill development for the rural youth. I'm going to talk about in a moment the concept, how this was conceived, right? So my sincere thanks to Uday and Pradeep. Thank you so much, sirs, for supporting us, for coming and sharing your knowledge. And a word about the Sevalaya NGO, right? Still, you can donate any amount. You have to follow this particular link, sevalaya.org/support. And in the occasion message column, you just mentioned C2CVLSI, right? Do that and send us an email at C2C email, C2C VLSI Webinar Series at gmail.com. We'll acknowledge that. We'll work with the Sevalaya team to get you the receipts and everything. That's ATG exempted. And how does your money is being used? It's an important question, right? So this money is used for skill development for the rural youths impacting by COVID, right? Even all of us are impacted, but rural youths are even more impacted actually, right? By COVID. So how do they spend money? They do occasional training. They conduct a training for 4 months and they make them employable. They develop a skill. Right? After the 4 months, they place them in a good, so they have a Tata Skills company, they have a tie-up. Through the Tata Skills, they place them in appropriate company like data operator, or there are different business of line they run. Please contact us in a Telegram group or email. I'll be more than happy to talk to you and explain the model. Fantastic. Right? And so we also want to support. I want to just quote one very one small example what happened today. A 18-year-old girl from I don't say what community, it's become very delicate, let me not say that. Yeah, but from very more leading girl, about 18 years of age. She dropped out from the school. It's 5th standard when she has studied, right? And her father is an auto driver, and she has no mother. And she's learning English on her own, and she's looking for a job. So when I spoke to Mr. Muralidhar this morning, he said immediately, no second thought, yeah, send us a resume. And she doesn't have a resume also. I'm going to create a resume tomorrow and talk to Mr. Muralidhar. And thank you so much, sir, for a noble gesture. So we want to enable the rural youth, and underprivileged, you should not say, but no, they need more support from us. They are favorite children of God, right? So we want to help them. So I'm so emotional when I say this, and thank you so much, Mr. Murali, for all your support. He's doing a fantastic job, guys. Even if it cannot be in money, money is very challenging, I know. Even if it cannot be in money, to see how we can mentor them, how we can work with them in terms of voluntary work, right? Any teaching, talking to some school children, talk to reach out to Sevalaya, reach out to us. There are other ways you can contribute, not just in terms of money, right? Spending your time, you're giving your suggestion ideas, right? So please support us in all possible ways. And as a token of effort, I'm also saying, I will not disclose, but I'll also help you to mentor. For every one of you coming and working with Sevalaya to spend your time, every 1 hour of time you spend with Sevalaya, I'll spend 1 hour of my time to mentor you on the chip design, right? You take it, you just send me an email or connect me with LinkedIn. We will help you, right? So you spend 1 hour of time with Sevalaya, you get 1 hour of my time to support you in mentoring, right? But don't ask me job. I don't have a job to give you, but I'll give you the skills. Okay, so about the money, right? Thank you to all the donors and well-wishers. We raised close to 3 lakhs, exactly 2.95 and 668 lakhs. Money they are about to reach Sevalaya. Some are coming from US, so it takes some time. It's no mean achievement. With small baby steps. This is where we are today. And think a few more weeks we'll continue to work on this particular campaign. So so whatever you want in kind, cash, or time, please help us, NGO, and we'll acknowledge each one of you in the social media. We'll do that, right? We'll acknowledge each one of you in the social media who's spending the time in money or whatever way it is, right? And I think we're done, actually. That's all. Madhu, over to you.
Hari, maybe you can just invite Srinivas and he'll wrap it up with the thanks.
Yeah, just a minute. Let me just stop sharing. I think my screen is not visible, right?
Yes, it's done. You stop sharing.
Okay, let me get Srinivas on stage. Srinivas, you need to accept the invite. Let me see if Arun is also around.
Yes.
Arun is not there. I don't see Arun.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Good evening to all. I would like to
please turn on your video if possible.
No, his webcam is not.
Okay, fine, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Srinivas.
Sir, I'm sorry about that, but I would like to start off by thanking Springbok Technologies for organizing such an event amidst the chaos of the pandemic. My sincere thanks, even though they are not with us right now, to Mr. Pradeep Vajram sir and Dr. Kamakoti sir for spending their precious time in educating us by sharing their thoughts. And I really feel honored to be speaking in this forum among such eminent personalities. Sir, from a student's point of view, this webinar has been an eye-opener to all those who would like to start their career in the VLSI domain. It has given an insight of how the industry operates. We were able to interact with various leaders of the semiconductor industry, and that enabled us to get our doubts clarified. I am looking forward to participate in such events in the future as well. At the outset, I would like to extend my heartiest thanks to all the speakers and organizers for reaching out to the student community and bridging the gap between industry and college campus. Thanks again to one and all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Srinivas. Just a few announcements. The Springbok IEEE VLSI certificates will be given to all the participants who have attended all our sessions and have filled up the feedback form. We have the data with us, so you will get your certificates by the 25th, on or before the 25th of this month, 25th of October. And talking about what's next from Springbok, we are planning to have periodic events, including workshops and webinars. We're also exploring the possibilities of internships for deserving students. We will keep posting these. Like I said, I've already posted the WhatsApp group link in our chat section. So if you're interested to keep connecting with us, join the WhatsApp group. And I think, like everyone said, right, I think we've heard over the last so many sessions, ask and you will be given. You know, if Hari sir is offering his time, it is absolutely the most valuable thing that you can get at this point of in your time in your life. Ask and you shall be given. Please remember that. And it doesn't matter if your language, your communications, your from where you are, it absolutely does not matter. Just
we can talk in your language. We can connect you in language. You can talk in Hindi, Telugu, and whatever language you know.
Yeah, I know. Between the three of us, we can talk. Between the both of us, we can talk in 4 or 5 languages. So Telugu, Tamil, Hindi, English, little of Punjabi, everything. We have everything. So don't bother about the languages. Just reach out to us and we will see how we can help you.
Yeah, we have to bother about language. Very long and VSGL though, right?
Yeah, we have that too, correct. So having said that, we sincerely thank you for taking out time. We really hope you're able to gain some knowledge, like I said, and use this knowledge in growing in your careers. Please remove the thought of how do I get a job. Please get the thought of how do I make myself be employed, be chosen by the employer who's interviewing me. So there's a difference of thoughts. It is not like I don't have the opportunity, I don't know what to do. Those are all just the basics. Just try first building your basics strong, building your digital basics strong and all that, right? So work on all that and we will keep connecting with you. Thank you again. And I think we are good. Hari?
Yeah, we are done. Yeah.
All right. Fantastic.
Thank you. And, see you all very soon. And happy Students' Day to everyone.
Yes, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. No class.